Welcome to Sinatra CRUD App episode 1.5. This is just an addendum to episode 1. It's optional. We created our first active record model in episode 1, and if you want to provide what we call seed data for your application, I'm going to show you how to do that. But it's optional to create the full CRUD app. It will just give you a starting point with some contacts in your database instead of starting with an empty file. So we're going to use a gem called Faker for this, and it's already available in our test and development environment. And we're going to Google gem Faker to get some more information about it. And we'll see they have a GitHub page here, and we're going to scroll down. We're interested in names first for our contact, and we see an entry for that. And first name and last name is what we need. We find those here. So I'll go ahead and copy those and paste them into our seed file, which is located in the DB folder. And I'm going to use these later, but first we need an email as well. So we'll go back to the list, and email is actually under the internet category. So we go here. At the top, we see a generic email as an option. I actually like the safe email better just in case I accidentally send an email to someone. So we're going to use that. So we'll move these over to our example file as well. Now that we have these available to us, we'll get to work on our seed file. First thing that we're going to do is set up a person hash with the first name and last name. We do that just like so. And we're going to use this information that's in the hash to set up the email. Now, you'll see that optionally the email takes a string. And what we're going to do is use the person's first and last name to set up their email, just like this. Before we continue with the seed file code, we're going to test some of this in the console. So we'll copy our person hash code and move it over. Oh, and we have an uninitialized constant error. So we just need to require Faker, and then it should work. So now we have our person hash set up. And then we're going to test this email line to make sure that does what we expect. It looks like it does, but let's look at the person hash just in case. That looks good. So now we will attempt to use this hash to create a new contact. So we set it up here, pass it the hash, and it works. And we see the first name, last name, and email. Contact is nil because we haven't saved it yet. We can check that it's valid. Since it is, we can save it. We see that that works with the insert statement. And if we do a contact.all, we'll see that they are in the list of all of our contacts. So we know that these two lines of code work. We're going to copy them over into our seed file, both creating the new contact or instantiating it and saving it. Now that we've run those tests in our console, we can actually run the seed file to see if it all works together. So that's a rake task. And when we run it, we have the same uninitialized constant error, same fix. We just need to require Faker and remove those placeholder pieces of code. And now when we run the seed file, we'll see that an insert statement is done. So we've inserted our one comment, but let's say we want to do it 5 times. We just wrap this in a block. We can run it again, and now we have 5 insert statements. But let's say we want to run this more than once, but we never want to have more than 10 contacts. So what we do is we set up the number of contacts that we want, and then the number that are needed, or the number of contacts wanted, minus the count that already exists. And then we can insert that variable in place of the 5. And let's see what happens with that. When we run the seed file now, we'll see that it inserts in order to get us up to the count of 10. Notice that does a select count star. That's how it knows how many contacts are in the database. So if we run it again, it does that select count star. There are 10 contacts, and no longer does it need to do any insertions. Now to close this half episode, we'll use Git once again to review our changes and commit them. So we'll see that we've changed the DB seeds file, and we can see the changes that we made there, and then go ahead and commit them.